Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Bill and Scott from BSGames. Their latest strategy abstract game, Sonoda, is currently available for pre-order. Bill, Scott, welcome to the binge. How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing great. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, it is fantastic having you on here. We've known each other now for, I was just doing the math before the episode, like almost 5 years. It's crazy. We met locally at some of the local cons and Pro Spiel events, and it's so surreal to talk with someone that you feel like you've known for a very short time, but really like that's how much time has actually passed in this industry for us. Like there's so much has happened with you guys and so much things that we've done. It's just it's been so surreal. So I'm so happy to have you guys on the podcast.
Yeah, way back. I remember Tanks. That was your big game.
Thanks, but no thanks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and for those who want to check it out, episode 137 was the last time we talked about BSGames. It was Scott was a guest. Bill, you couldn't join us for that episode.
Unfortunately.
That was 2.5 years ago. So I know some things have happened 2.5 years ago. I was literally begging Scott to launch this game immediately that I had a chance to play at one of the Pro Spiels. That's the very game we're going to be talking about on this episode. So I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so happy. I can't wait to get my mitts on a copy of this game. It's going to be awesome. But before we do that, let's kind of get into your backgrounds. One thing that's I think shared between us all is we're all Canadians and we're all local here. But when we start off with Scott, give us just a quick overview of kind of what your role is in this business. Then we'll get Bill to do that, and we'll kind of then pivot over to the games.
Yeah, for sure. When we first started, Bill and I met working at Games Workshop, doing different roles in there, within sales, warehouse, that sort of thing. Bill left to go and pursue his graphic design, which Bill will tell you more about when it's his turn. And then I eventually left there to go to university, and as a mature student, I'm legally required to do air quotes when I say the word mature. And then after that, I got into teaching. So while I was doing that, I came up with a great idea as part of an assignment to help kids learn and understand math better. Now, that wasn't Mathematician's Duel. It was something else. And I made it on Microsoft Word, and it looked awful. But the concept was really neat, and I got a lot of really good feedback on it and thought we can make this a thing if it looked really good. So I contacted Bill and said, hey, I got this idea. Can you make this look cool? And of course he did. It was amazing. And then we thought we could make a company, sell this. All the schools will buy it. It'll be super awesome. And we were working on it. Then I got this other idea, and that was Mathematician's Duel. It's one of those flash of genius kind of things. I say genius, that's the phrase. I'm not like trying to oversell myself here.
Yeah.
I got this idea. It came out almost entirely complete in my head, this idea for this game. Obviously, there's play testing and tweaks later on. And I said, I got this other idea. I think it's really cool. So we put the other thing aside. The subtract and adder, we called it. It was teaching kids adding and subtracting. So we got Mathematician's Duel going. I came up with all the idea, and I got up all the rules and stuff. I said, Bill, you need to make this look awesome. And of course, playing it with each other, play testing. He gave some feedback as well. So that was how we started. And the idea to start off with is sort of like, I use great ideas for games, and Bill's going to be the graphics guy. But of course, Bill's also into games. So Bill also comes up with lots of great ideas for games, and we throw those back and forth. So we both work on coming up with ideas and concepts for games. And then Bill makes them look really cool.
And that's important. Quite like, I mean, let's not skip over that, right? Like, there's really two halves of the same thing. One is like mechanically making something work as a game.
Yeah.
But equally important is the story and the narrative around that, and the the whole graphic entrance into what that story is so key. And I've seen games where I've quite frankly had a game pitched to me before where the initial kind of and I'm embarrassed to say it, the look of the game was, I'm like, yeah, it's not really, I don't know if it's a fit. And then that person reworked that game several times. And then I saw it again at a convention, and the look that they changed it to, where they just again brought in now the visual elements and really tried to make it look cool. I had to give it a second look, and I actually apologized. That was actually Kevin Levy with City of Venus Civil War coming up, and apologized to him. I'm like, Kevin, like, I didn't give this enough of a chance. I'm so sorry. And he's like, oh, I'm just glad that we're playtesting this, and we end up signing him, right? So the visual is so important, and I think a lot of people kind of skip over that, where it's not enough just to get the idea on the table. Is you got to make it look good, because if it doesn't look good, there's going to be people that may enjoy that game that aren't going to give it a fair chance, right? Bill, like, how did you get started? So you've been doing graphic design. Was that straight out of school, or where'd you learn to do graphic design?
Yeah, I went to Humber College, small town guy in the Prince Edward County area.
Oh, nice.
Big city. Oh my God, I'm 18 in the big city going to school. No parents. Yeah, we partied a lot. Yeah, I did, hone my skills. I was the guy in the community who was always drawing cartoons, right? So then there I honed it for more like, how do you sell it? How do you market things, right?
Yeah.
And from there, I landed a job at the Queen Street Games Workshop store.
So this Games Workshop, just so I'm clear, it's not actually, it's like, it was a store called Games Workshop, right? It wasn't actually a workshop that you guys went to, right?
No, Games Workshop, they're the company behind Warhammer.
Warhammer, oh, got it, okay. I don't play Warhammer, so there we are. There's new learning for me.
Yeah. Painting and collecting miniatures and having big army battles with your friends. And they popularized it. Like, that's always been around for like World War II and reenactments of like War of 1812. You paint the little soldiers. And
franchises everywhere as well too, right?
But in the 70s and 80s, Games Workshop took the concept of miniature gaming and made it fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're huge now. And now they've got contracts with Disney, and
Henry Cavill's coming out with his Warhammer show soon too, which I know everyone's absolutely pumped about. And it's crazy. So this is still a side hustle for you guys, all right? So you guys are
we have day jobs.
Still doing your day jobs. One teacher, one graphic, right? And so how do you find time to work on this? Obviously you guys are both connecting from different locations. Is it like weekends, or like, how do you find time to kind of work through your different projects that you guys are working on? Because I know you're even hustling, right? You guys are out actually pitching to stores and things as well.
Oh yeah, we pitch. Yeah. So there's a cafe near my place. I name drop Dicey Business. They're great. And we meet there once a week, usually on Wednesdays. But also I go on Fridays usually. But now that we're getting bigger and more noticed and we're getting out to all these other stores, that's starting to become a little bit less, but still pretty much Wednesdays we meet up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got like a business meeting. We go, we have dinner, we play some games, we talk about what we're working on. My whole family comes, right? So we make a family evening of it. Bill and I will go sit at a different table away from the family. We'll talk about what we want to do next and what we've been working on. And then once we get through that, we got some time. We're like, let's just play a couple games now.
So you guys like,
what we're doing is playing games with other people in the cafe, like random customers who look like they need a game because they're not sure what they want to play. We're like, hey, you guys want some help picking a game? And they're like, yeah, okay. Here, try Sonota.
Oh, there you go. And then you just
literally do that.
Yeah, we literally do that. Yeah.
And then, so when you guys are working on these games, so is it like kind of like separately you're working on like part of a project, and then you come together and say, hey, here's what I was working on the past week? Is that?
Yeah, kind of early on when we started, we used to get together at Bill's house, and we'd like for like 4 or 5 hours on an afternoon when we were free, or a weekend, in front of his giant monitor where he does his graphics, and we talk about laying stuff out and putting down ideas. But then we started doing stuff more separately, particularly during the pandemic. That's where I think where that really kicked in, is working separately, and then using that messenger and email and doing stuff. Here's what you need to do. Here's what I want to do. And let me know how it went when we talk next time. And we share things back and forth. Yeah.
And then Math Magician's Duel, which I had a chance of getting to play as well at one of the Pro Spiels. And I know you guys actually went to market with this. And I've seen it in a lot of stores in the local area. And I'm like, hey, I know those guys. I'm always kind of bragging when I'm at the cash register. I'm like, God, these guys, I know them, which is kind of cool. This game is, I would say, has been a success for you. You've been, using it with like schools and things like that as well, right? Like, can you? So in terms of like the educational piece around it, is that something that was kind of key or core to your identity as a company, or is that just kind of, you see it as more just one idea of maybe many different ones you could potentially work on? And
yeah. Early on, because that was the first one we worked on, we kind of had an idea of not necessarily being all educational games. And in
Yeah.
fact, Mathematician's Duel, I didn't want it to fall in the category of an educational game. I knew we were working against the stigma because
Yeah.
it explicitly uses math.
Yeah.
But Scrabble and Bananagrams explicitly use spelling, but they're not considered educational games just because they're word games.
Yeah.
But anything with a math game in it, that was an educational game for kids. But we played it. Bill's played it a lot with 20, 30 somethings in game cafes, right? He encourages like trash talk and stuff, but like I wouldn't with the kids at school. But we wanted one that they could enjoy, even though it explicitly runs on math. All games run on math in some capacity or
Yeah.
another. This one's a bit more explicit. So we were thinking, at the very least, we wanted our games to be thinking games. Not necessarily educational, but at least ones that if you played it enough, it exercises your brain in some capacity or another. We're working on a word game as well. We got a lot on the go, but one where you're creating sentences from random words. So you still have to put some thought into it, but without it being too big a brain burner. We did consider for a while having a separate section, right? I remember Bill workshopped, I guess, a few logos, and we're going to have BS Games Educational, right? So we have the logo with like the graduation cap on it or something, right?
Yeah.
But then that became a bit much, especially since we only had one game at that point anyway.
Are you
So
having?
I remember the early days. We even questioned BS Games, like,
Yeah.
it's Bill and Scott Games, but the joke is there. Everybody
Yeah.
can see it. Blatantly obvious. How's that
Right.
going to fly in a school system?
Are they getting
Right.
it? Yeah.
And Scott said, it's fine. It's the parents will get it. It's like when you watch an animated movie and there's jokes there for the parents as well as for the kids.
Yeah.
So,
So in terms of merchandising, I mean, the Bananagrams is a great example. I mean, to me, that would seem the natural fit, right? In a store to say, hey, here's where we suggest actually merchandising this is right in beside Scrabble and Bananagrams and things like that. How have you positioned towards the schools, and how's the reception been there? Like, how do you actually approach a school and say, hey, we've got this thing that we think could kind of work for you guys?
Very carefully, because you're wasting my secrets here. It's actually a conflict of interest for me as a employee of the Peel District School Board to sell my game to schools under the Education Act. I guess they don't want kids to get the wrong idea that you can just write a textbook and sell it to your students for $200 each in university, because that would be totally wrong. Oh no, wait, that's what they do. Oh my.
yeah.
Anyway,
there's a bit of conflict there.
Yeah. So what I do is I created it specifically because I saw a problem. I saw a need. I was in classes and I saw kids grade 6, 7, because I teach mostly middle school, reaching for calculators to do single digit math. Or a regular teacher lets us. Well, yeah, you know what? I don't. Right? If you're working on a difficult problem that has some bigger numbers in it, and the point of the problem is to figure stuff out, use a calculator, because that's not the point of the problem, sure. But if you're just adding a couple of numbers, you should be able to do this. So I want to find a way to practice it that was more interesting than worksheets and flashcards. So that's why I came up with the game. So then to go into the school and say, here's a great way to get kids to practice it, it'll be useful in schools, and then make it difficult for me to be able to do that, I thought it was a little bit weird. But what I do is I go into the school, and I have been at several different schools in my career. I'm still in my 10th year in teaching. It's the second career, right? Because I was originally at Games Workshop, went back to university after I left there. So I'll find another teacher and say, hey, I want to run this club where we play this math card game. Do you want to be my partner for this club? And they'll say, yeah, sure, that sounds great. We'll do that. So then we go to the principal for permission. Oh, we want to start this club. Is it okay? And of course, the principal, so you want the kids are going to play a math game. They're going to learn social skills because they're playing a physical game together, and it's got math in it. This is checking all the boxes for the principal. Like, this sounds like a great club. What are these games? I said, well, I've got 2 copies. They're my personal copies. Principal says, do we need more of those? At which point, I become Homer in the hedge, right? That meme, backing into the hedge.
Yeah.
And the other teacher says, yes, we do. The principal says, how do we get some? The other teacher says, we call Bill from BSGames. He's the education liaison. So Bill actually deals with the schools. So they contact him, and then he talks to them about getting some copies for them. So that can run this club at the school.
Can you go to the boards at all? I mean, because there's different boards. You're on one, the Peel board, right? But I mean, there's other boards. Simcoe County board is another one. York. Can you hit any of these boards and just say, like at the board level, and say, hey, this is something we want to try to push down? Is there interest to seed the classrooms with it at all? Or
I looked at that. There's like these approved vendor lists.
Yeah.
It's a bit challenging to get onto. I did find a store recently who was very interested in Mathematician's Duel. Unfortunately, well, for us, I guess, and for them, we've actually sold through our entire print run. We're working on our second print run right now, getting it ready.
Yeah.
But I did find a school up in, a store in Thornhill who is on the approved list for the York Region District School Board. And he's, as soon as they're back in, let me know, because this looks really awesome, and I will get these into the schools for you. More interest is coming up because I run a league at whatever school I'm at every year. I've been at the same school the last 2 years. I run a league, 3 points for a win, 2 for a loss. 2 for a draw, 1 for a loss. And we run it for like 2 months. And after the winter break, the top 8 students get a single elimination tournament. It's a prize for the winner. So we run as a league with a tournament. I met a lady at a gaming event this year. I say this year, I mean 2023, but this past school year, who also teaches grade 6 in a middle school, not too far from us. So she said, this sounds great. I'm going to do that too. So she did. And then in March, my top 3 students in my league faced against her top 3 students from her league. And we had an inter-school championship. We made a plaque and everything with the school name on it for the winner. And it's got, Peel, all Peel champions on it. So since we did that, we've had some other interest and people have contacted us, and we might, if things go well, have 6 schools signed up for next year's inter-school tournament. So definitely there's some growth there, and we're looking very much forward to within a few years the all Ontario championships. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but
speaking
that would be the best
of tournaments. I mean, Sonoda, which is the game you guys have coming out, like I think imminently, right? You're taking pre-orders now. Is very much set up that way too, almost like kind of chess, right, where you can play tournaments and so forth. So can you explain kind of what Sonoda is to the layman, and then I want to get into kind of the history of this one because it's kind of fascinating.
Bill, you want to go? I've been talking a bunch. You want to take that one?
So we've had it referred to, for people who haven't seen it, and the board is the Flower of Life pattern for people who are aware of that. But it's kind of, it uses 4-sided dice. Everybody's familiar, if they play D&D, they know a 4-sided die. You have 6 of them, and you move them around that Flower of Life board, and you're trying to capture your opponent's. He has 6 pieces, or she has 6 pieces as well. But it's not how many pieces you get, it's how many points you get. So on your turn, you can change the value up or down one, or move a piece. And when you move a piece, you move it the amount that's on top. So on your final point of movement, if you land on an opponent piece, you capture it, but the number on top is how many points you get. So you make them big, high movements, they're big targets.
So you're actually physically moving it onto the other person's piece. If you have that many moves to get over it, you capture it, you take that spot, theirs comes off the board. Then how do you track that, the score? Does your piece then come down?
Goes on a capture disc, and the capture disc has 6 spots. So when somebody captures 6 pieces, the game ends.
Got it.
And it's not the game ends. Yay, I ended the game, I win. No, check the score and see who wins. Especially when you're getting down to your last 2 spots, you're really calculating the score.
And then is a score the number of the piece you've captured, or is the...
Yes.
Okay.
So if you capture someone has 4 movement, you get 4 points.
Got it.
Yeah.
I had a chance to play this. I played it once where I think, Bill, you taught it to me, and I loved it. And right away I was like, this is something my dad would be all over because he loves chess. He loves Othello, or people call it reverse. Anything that's kind of abstract, those kind of games, absolutely loves. And
it's referred to as simpler chess. I think it still has depth. I don't want to compare it to the grand.
It's got a lot of depth. I wouldn't sell yourself short, because as soon as you walked away at that event, my brother, who was there with me, who's very competitive with me, and is, we've played chess over the years.
I think you guys used the fancy metal dice we were.
Yeah, I was showing him how to play, and so of course it got really intense because he doesn't give 1 inch. And I can't remember who won. Maybe it's a draw. Maybe he won. Who knows? But the at the end of the day, I'm sure he'll say who won. It was awesome, and we both walked away and said that is a super cool game. And this is 2.5 years ago, man. This is not like like a week ago. This is 2.5 years ago, and so here we are
It
now.
only has 2 rules:
What-
change a die or move a die.
What took so long to get this out? Like at the time, I remember saying to you guys, like, how is this not like in the market now? And like, because it's ready. Like it hasn't changed since 2 years, half year. What took so long? Like,
The
Well, it's funny,
details kind of
it did change,
changed a
but
little
then we
bit.
changed it back.
Yeah,
Okay.
we changed
We
it back.
did add more to it, more complexity, and then realized we didn't need that.
Yeah.
And what a lot of it was we were sort of shopping around to see if we could get some other publishers interested in it. And not a lot are big on abstract strategy. And eventually we just want to make sure we like it so much the way it is, that we want to have control over it.
Yeah.
And the fact that we were also still working with Mathematicians Duel. And there are just the two of us, and we also do have day jobs, so it does slow things down a little bit. And eventually we said,
pandemic kind
let's
of
just do
slowed
it
it.
ourselves. So then we went like into it hardcore and get, yeah, we're going to do this one now. But we did spend a lot of time tweaking and then untweaking and making unnecessary changes that we realized weren't necessary. And then I went, you know what, this is the core of what we want it to be. We don't need this other stuff that we've been trying to put into it. We just put the way it is. Now we start looking for printers, and then we went down that route too, which again can take a while, right? From the time we find a printer and say, okay, yes, we want you, we got all these quotes, and we want you, and here's our designs, and back and forth. That I think, because originally, what did we do? We sent our files in like just before. Was it just before Christmas? It was like November or something like that. I think we were preparing our files to send, and now, of course, middle of July they arrive. So it's like a good 6 months from we've chosen who we wanted to print it to all the negotiating and getting things printed to completion and being here. And the official release date is Wednesday the 31st.
Oh, that's coming up fast. That's in a couple days.
Yes.
And then and I know you had the metal dice at the time, and at the time I believe it was 2 players when I was playing. Now it's up to 6. But I know there's like 2, 3, 4. We're skipping 5, then 6. Can you talk a little bit about that?
There's some geometrical weirdness.
They are triangle board shapes, but it makes up a hex basically. And with a hex, you can't get the 5th player position. You can put them in the middle, but then it's weird because the 2 guys on the side can attack like there's no space. Yeah. Right. And who would want to be the guy in the middle, right? Some people say you have more options, but then everybody has the option to attack you too, right? So it just doesn't really work with 5.
Yeah.
But still,
we might at some point come up with rules for 5. We could, but that would take like a whole page in the rule book. And the other thing we didn't want to do is have a lot of exceptions, a lot of an extra page, or go check this page for this thing. We wanted to keep the the rule book on 2 pages, or like 1 page folded is what it worked out to. It was 11 by 17 folded is the entire rule book. So it would have added an extra page just to explain how to do a 5-player setup. So you know what, forget it. You just can't play 5. If you only have 4 friends and you all have to play the same, you're gonna have to take turns. Actually, we did kind of solve that a little. We'll tell you about that in a second. But if we do 5-player variant, we'll just put it on our website for free. We'll say, look, we got some ideas how to play 5. So just download it from the website and try it out, and let us know how it works for you.
Most people are probably going to play this as a 2-player game, I'm thinking, though. No,
that's my favorite.
Yeah,
Bill's favorite was 6, and when we played tested with 6, said, look, we could do 6. I'm like, that's ridiculous. 4 at the most. 6 is
whenever I play 6, everybody has a blast, but it's the least tactical version.
Yeah.
But there's so much allying and backstabbing and trash talking that it's my favorite.
It becomes like a party game. Yeah. So I didn't believe it until I saw it at the game cafe. It's like, no, man, I was there last night. We had a 6-player game. It was amazing. I'm like, how? It's just ridiculous. So they saw it, and I'm like, yep, okay, I can see it now. It's more of a party abstract strategy game, which you don't really see anywhere. No one makes those. My favorite is the 2-player, where it's a straight one-on-one out maneuver your opponent.
Yeah. The beauty of it is it plays different at each player count. Like it really does. Like 3 is good. You start getting into player elimination is one of the end conditions, and then 4, and now you can start to get into teams. And the uniqueness with our team rule is you just don't add your scores together, and then whoever has the most points, that team wins. That's not how we do it. It's anybody on your team wins with regular Sonoda rules, then the whole team wins.
And
so it doesn't matter if one teammate has hardly any points. As long
What's
as
that?
one teammate's gaining a lot of points, it doesn't matter. I'm like, oh, I hardly have any, but you have lots, so I can like be out there sacrificing my pieces to set up you.
Or
So you,
guarding or blocking other people. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. And then it comes with the extra discs, so you have like 6 of those little side discs for
Yep.
scorekeeping as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And the box, Bill came up with this idea that on the box we don't put the name
I'm
of the
showing it
box.
now, but you can kind of
Yeah.
just.
Those of you
reference
watching the
that
video,
it's
you
the
can have a
game
look
board
at
on
it. If you're listening to the audio, you can't see what Bill's doing. But the box has just a picture of the board pattern on the front. Doesn't even have the
There's
name
no
on it.
name of the
It's on
game
the
or
side.
anything.
Yeah.
Bit of a risk.
But the picture on the front is exactly the same size as the board inside. So you can play on the box lid.
That's what I was gonna
So you
say.
can have
One
two
might
games.
say, why not just play on the lid then?
Yeah, you can play 2 games simultaneously. So
You
you
could
have
have 2
5
3-player
people.
games going.
Yeah, you play a 3-player game on the board and you play a 2-player game on the lid.
Oh,
You
that's
can-
clever.
Yeah.
Have a little tournament at home.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
You got 2 boards every time you play the game, technically.
Now the board in the box is double-sided, so the 2 players on one side and the
3,
3
4,
to
6.
6, yeah, 3, 4, 6 is on the other side. But we couldn't really do that with the box lid, the flipping. So we have the 2-player in the middle, and then the outer spaces are faded. So you're either playing with the faded if you're playing more, like 3 or 4 or 6, and you're not playing with the faded if you're playing 2.
And then with this, I could have swore I saw somewhere there's like a special dice offer or something you guys are doing. Did I see that on your website, or did I
Yeah,
imagine
so
that?
most abstracts come with black and white, right?
Those
Oh,
are
okay.
classic colors.
That
Right,
classic
your
colors.
Othello, your chess. Yeah.
So for pre-orders, we are doing $10 for a classic black and white set of D4s.
You
Mm.
get 2 more sets. You got black with white numbers and white with black numbers for $10.
Was there ever
And
any?
these are limited numbers. So when they're out, they're gone. So it's one of those, hey, I got in early and I can prove it. You know, I got the first edition with the pre-order limited special edition dice. And if you get it autographed 20 years from now, you'd be like, man, I'm putting this on eBay for $100. Yeah.
There's illusions
not,
of grandeur.
I
I
don't
love it. Is there a metal dice? Like, will there ever be metal dice back in this at all? Like, do you guys ever consider doing like a deluxe version?
Oh, dude.
Yes, we
We
have
are
so
doing deluxe
many
versions
ideas.
all the time. They're like, oh, make it like this. It'll be like $5,000. They're like, well, okay. But we
Yeah.
got a guy working on wooden ones.
I'm showing
for
another
us.
box now for the audio listeners, and instead of brown like the main box, the current box, this one's like gray, and we're trying to show that it's like
Upside down.
like see-through basically. It's
Mhm.
like inside is a plastic board with see-through pieces, and we cut little triangle spaces in the board, and the board is raised up off the it's got little like a little stand, so it's not touching your table. And then the D4s go down, point down, and then you make custom D4s rather than having 3 numbers on every side like a D4 has.
Yeah.
It has one. You read it just like
On
a
the
regular
flat side.
die.
Yeah,
Oh,
you read
that's
the flat
interesting.
surface, which is up.
So
That's an
this would be the
interesting
deluxe
look we
version,
were
then, is what you're
playing.
saying.
Well, it's one of the ideas. We're thinking about wooden
One of
ones.
many.
We're thinking about marble boards, fancy dice.
Mirrored boards.
Thinking about dice that aren't even D4
Yeah, these-
four-sided, but they're not pyramids. They're not tetrahedrons.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because other sided dice. I would like to like totally custom because you don't roll them; they don't have to be balanced either, right?
Yeah.
So I like to totally custom like interesting alien pointy caltrip kind of shape. I'd like to have the numbers off and have bands carved in the around the points: 1 band, 2 band, 3 bands, 4 bands. Right? Then it looks either ancient or alien. So we can have all these different kind of thematic looks to it. It lends itself to so many different looks.
The
Without
oldest
changing
game of all
the-
time has the
core game.
band on the top of the D4 in that game. It's the game of Ur.
Okay.
And it has a D4 with a band on the top. And I went, we got to do Sonoda with 1 band for 1 and 2 bands. Like,
Yeah, just take the numbers right off it and just use other symbols or shapes. So many ideas.
Sure.
I've always liked dice and I've always collected dice, but
Yeah.
building Sonoda, I'm now an official dice snob.
You're a connoisseur of dice.
Oh yeah, look at dice. Oh no, these ones the numbers are slightly too close to the corners. The
I
numbers
say
are too
that a
big. I
lot.
don't like the
Why is
font of the
every-
numbers. Yeah.
Yes, it works as a die, but it just looks horrible.
So
And
in
the old D4s with the numbers on the bottom, I thought for sure would never do that. And then I was thinking the other day on the mirrored one, it might actually look cool because the numbers on the bottom of the mirror better.
Oh, that would be cool. So with this, the orders and things, I just want to get into that really quickly. I know that as I followed this over the past few years, you know, I always see people opting in saying, hey, when this is ready, like, let us know. We want to pre-order, And I've even seen stores say that. Have you circled back now with a lot of these stores and said, hey, we're getting ready to go to market now with the game? We've got stock coming up. Like, have you been able to circle back with some of the stores? Will people be able to buy this in some of the local game shops, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. We haven't yet, but we should update the website with the stores it is available on.
Cool.
We've done that for Missions Duel, but haven't done that for Sonoda yet. But I know there's at least 4 stores I think have already delivered it to in preparation for the release date. Of course, they are all local to us because we don't have distribution, self-distributing. So wherever we can drive to, that's where they're going to have it. And of course,
but in the next few days, you're going to Ottawa.
I'm going to Ottawa tomorrow and coming back on Wednesday, so I'll be dropping off at several stores there. I know our home shop, Dicey Business in Meadowvale, by the Meadowvale GO Station, they're going to have it because they're having a launch party there on Wednesday evening. Also, the Dragon in Guelph has it. I'm just going from memory real quick. Who else? J&J Cards and Collectibles in Waterloo. They have it now. Sorry, Bill, what's the other one you said?
X-Planet with Lionel.
X-Planet, yep.
We worked with Lionel at Games Workshop, and he has a huge Games Workshop following there. But he has board games there as well.
Or people can just buy it directly from you guys right off your website,
or
right?
They can. Or if they have a local store, they can tell their store to contact us, and we'll set them up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it might be
and we're doing like little launch parties at each kind of around the area. Get a store and do a launch party there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're going to Peterborough. We're going to Peterborough on Friday the 2nd. They're having designer showcase, and they'll be carrying it at the Boardwalk Games Lounge in Peterborough, and then we'll be at the Dragon on August the 3rd.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the show notes for anybody who wants to check this out. It's straight to the website, takes you right to the Sonoda page. It's worth taking a look at this game and looking at the video. It's super cool. I've played it myself. I'm going to get a copy of this game. I absolutely adore this game, and I think you guys have done an amazing job on kind of curating the development of this over the past several years. What is coming next for you guys? What's next after this one?
Well, we are thinking about multi-tiered Sonoda. So you play where we call it Sonoda Higher Ground. That sort of leans into what we were saying about different versions.
Sure.
Some of them just a different look or a different feel, but some of them might actually have extra rules.
Is it just these two games though, Mathematician's Duel and Sonoda, or do you have another property you guys are working on as well?
Well, actually, we've got 2 interns. And the one intern's working on a video game version of you can play it online. We have it on Tabletop Simulator, but he's officially working on like coding so you can play
for Sonoda.
Yeah, for Sonoda.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
The other guy's working on. We have a Google Doc just like full of ideas. Sometimes it's one line, sometimes it's paragraphs, sometimes it's a page.
There are 2 pages of rules for a game that
he grabbed one idea and he's been working on that, and he's coming every week to the game cafe, and we have a meeting with him and see his progress. And so hopefully he'll get that really close to a playable demo at least, but maybe he'll get it even farther. And
we got like 3 others that were playable demos as well. We feel are really close. But those ones I think we're looking at pitching to other bigger publishers, because we can't, at the size we are, handle self-publishing all these.
Sure.
But we do have a few others ready to go. And anyone who happens to run into us at a cafe or an event, totally welcome to ask us about one of these other games that we feel are nearly done. If they want to give us feedback, we will pull it out. They're all in my backpack that I take everywhere I go. I will whip out a prototype and go, sure, let's play this one and tell me what you think.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of the last things
you mentioned,
circle back to the Sonoda just for a second. I'd like to mention, because you mentioned the website, if anyone is interested, on our blog part of our website, it's under the info bar on the drop-down menu, blogs. We're writing a 4-part history of Sonoda.
Oh,
so
cool.
The first 3 parts are already up, and it's all about from the very first moment. Probably I'm not getting this correct, but I think it was April 11th, 2018, when we were sitting in the 3 Brewers, and Bill said, I got this idea, and drew on a piece of paper with a marker and some dice from our bag the original concept for Sonoda, and it takes it through how it went from there to where it is now. So part 3 is right up until we're pretty much done it. Part 4, it will be about the release and the launch party and the follow-up. So I haven't written part 4 yet because part 4 hasn't happened yet. So anyone who
people
comes
to
to
be
the
part
party
of it.
might be in part
Well,
for.
certainly these kind of things, and I think Stonemaier Games is another good example of this. Of anytime you can follow along someone else's story, right, and see kind of how they went through something and the trials and tribulations they had. Hopefully, you have the ability to learn from that and maybe not repeat some of those mistakes. So again, I wanted to say for the listeners, anybody either watching on live, and we got a lot of people on the live here, as well as anybody listening on the follow-up, this ships, or I guess the orders are Wednesday, right? Like this Wednesday, you guys are going to start shipping, so taking orders. If you pre-order before then, Wednesday is when these orders are going to start getting processed. Again, if you go...
2 days to get the dice, yeah.
Perfect. So if you go on to bsgames.ca, you can find it there. I'll also put a link in the show notes. Gentlemen, I'm totally rooting for you. I can't wait to get a copy, and I want to wish you all the best on this pre-order.
Thank you very much. I'm super happy to bring you a copy as soon as we meet up.
Sounds good, guys.
Give us good advice. You're an inspiration too. So,
all right, take care. Cheers.
Cheers.
This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.